one nature of language is what? Language is a system. Number 5, language as vocal. When we say vocal, language is oral, verbal, like what I am doing, talking. Although today, people usually communicate by texting or chatting, right? Minsan, mas madali kasi magsulat, i-text na lang kaysa sabihin. There is no substitute for verbal communication. Wala pa rin tatalo sa verbal, sa vocal communication, especially when you are communicating with familiar people. Language is oral. Speech is primary. Writing is secondary. What have you learned first? Did you learn writing first or speaking? Right? So we learned first how to speak before we learn how to write. When you were a child, you learned to speak first before you learn to write it. And most probably our lifetime, we speak more than we write. That's why language is also vocal on its nature. Next, we're down to number 6. Language is a skill subject. Learning a language is acquiring skills, especially here in your major. Our major is English. And acquiring English language is a skill. Ngayon, hindi ko alam kung sino friend ko sa inyo sa Facebook, but as you can see, Japan, to name it, is looking for English teachers, even in other country. And that's one gift of Filipinos. They said Filipinos communicate better in English. More than the other nationalities, like Chinese. Well, we don't discriminate them, but in fact, Chinese cannot really speak English well. It's just because their language, their mother tongue is different from the English. In Filipino, like the letters, diba? The English alphabet is something similar to Filipino alphabet. This explains why we Filipinos can acquire English language better than the others. Language mastery is acquired by learning the skills. And learning language has 2 skills. The first one is receptive skill. When we say receptive skill, it is the ability to understand information represented in words and sentences, either through visual or auditory. To receive. When you receive the language, then you understand. That is the first skill, receptive. The second one is expressive skill. It is the facility to put forth sensible ideas into visual and acoustic symbols. And here is the problem. Sometimes we have the receptive skill. Ano to? Naiintindihan natin, especially when we are talking to a fam. Ayan, yung mga Amerikano, kalimitan, di ba, dito sa Pilipinas. They are migrating here in the Philippines. You have the ability to understand. Naiintindihan mo lang. But we are having a hard time to express. Pag tinanong ka, pwede po bang Tagalog na lang? Because we are having a hard time to express. We don't have this skill. But don't worry. These skills can be learned. You can master. And here, as this one, as a subject, kaya huwag kayong matatakot kapag ang daming essay. It has something na kailangan ninyong matutunan. You have to master. I know our first and mother language is Filipino. And I truly understand that it is very hard for you to speak in English. But no matter how, you can really speak this. And it is something you have to do. It is your subject. right? And you have to master. Here, we don't just akala natin module lang na okay lang na walang matutunan. No, we want all of you to be quality teachers in the future. Kaya huwag kayong maano na ang daming paggawa, ang daming gagawin. Well, it is not for me. It is always for you. Okay? Next, number 7. Language as a means of communication. As we all know, language is branded as a process of conveying and exchanging messages from one person to person using a medium or channel mostly done for the society. Yan, sa klasiko sa English. A communication is a two-way process. One is the sender, the other one is what? The receiver. And so the communication takes place. Language is the greatest form of intelligent interaction for the gifted individuals of the universe, humans. Now that the people are living in an organized global communication, interaction has become progressively possible. Language is a linguistic and speech communication purposively designed to put intended across either spoken or written. Whether you write or whether you speak, communication takes place. And because we, as humans, language is specifically for your activity. It facilitates our transport of emotions. Di ba? Paano mo ma-express your emotions? Through language. It could be verbal or non-verbal. As a whole, language serves as an intermediary between the individual and the community. And last, the nature of language as arbitrary. What is arbitrary? When we are born, we have no name yet, right? But our parents, when you were born, binigyan ka na nila ng pangalan. The principle is applied when it also comes to language. We believe in the Bible. And in the Bible, God has ordained Adam to name the animals. To name everything. Minsan ba naisip niyo na, bakit kaya ito ang tawag dito? Bakit kaya ito tinawag na ganito? Bakit ba ito ay tinawag na table? Bakit ito tinawag na laptop? Saan ba ito nanggaling? Arbitrary means the sense that language meanings existed as they are. Saan ba nalaman ni Adan na ang tawag dito ay apple? Saan ba nila nalaman ang pangalan ng tiger ay tiger? Arbitrary. The availability of the words is guided by no purpose as it is. When you were born, ang tawag na dito ay phone. Ang tawag na sa dito ay pencil. Is there something that you have to explain to and explain of? Nothing. Diba? So that is arbitrary as it is. Language is arbitrary because there is no guide. It is also arbitrary because it is purely accidental. There is no natural link between the words and their meaning. Why the spelling of table is T-I-A-B-L-E. The words that is, it is the moment na nagkaisip tayo, yun na yung tawag. Diba? So, and their meaning as it is. That's why language is arbitrary.